All right, we need to talk about what's happening right now, because while one dangerous winter storm is finally winding down, something even more concerning is developing. An extremely intense Arctic blast is about to slam into the United States, and this is going to keep snow and ice on the ground for days across multiple states. We're talking about temperatures plunging to well below zero in some areas, prolonging hazardous travel and increasing the risk of extended power outages. Before we dive into all the details, drop your city or region in the comments below and I'll give you the specific forecast for your area. Now let me start by breaking down the major winter storm that's been absolutely devastating parts of the country over the last few days. Nashville, Tennessee has been hit catastrophically hard, with nearly 90% of the metro area without power at this hour. Trees are down everywhere across the Nashville area, including 100-year-old trees that have been completely destroyed by heavy ice accumulation. The damage is going to last a long time, and power restoration could take a week or longer in some of the hardest hit areas. The good news is this winter storm is nearly done, with most of the heavy precipitation winding down as we go into tonight and tomorrow. We still have freezing rain and snow falling right now across New England and back into portions of the Carolinas. Southern New England is going to continue getting hit hard by heavy snow through tonight, with areas like Boston potentially seeing another 12 to 14 inches. Connecticut, Rhode Island, and parts of Massachusetts, including Cape Cod, will transition to sleet briefly tonight, making untreated roadways extremely slick. By Monday morning, we could see a localized area of heavy snowfall right over the Boston area before most of the system moves offshore. Some areas in upstate New York, central and northern New England, and Maine are expecting a widespread foot of additional snow through Monday night. This is on top of what's already fallen, and some spots are going to end up with around 2 feet of total accumulation when all is said and done. Generally speaking, this winter storm performed pretty well in terms of our forecast, with snow totals meeting or exceeding expectations in most areas. The Ohio Valley actually overperformed significantly, with areas like Cincinnati and southern Indiana seeing 16 to 17 inches of snow. Oklahoma saw slightly less than expected, with widespread 6 to 12 inches, but the Northeast is absolutely overperforming right now. Now, this winter storm did lead to ice accumulation concerns, but fortunately, power outages weren't as bad as they could have been. Many areas underperformed when it came to freezing rain accumulation because most places saw a lot more sleet than we thought they would. Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana ended up with more sleet than freezing rain, which is actually good news for power infrastructure. Atlanta was slightly warmer than expected. The Carolinas had less moisture, and North Texas saw overall more sleet than freezing rain. Unfortunately, though, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Tennessee still have widespread power outages that could last upwards of a week or longer. This is due to so many trees down and power lines that have been ripped apart, especially in the Nashville area, which was absolutely devastated. Now, here's what makes the situation so dangerous moving forward, and this is what you really need to pay attention to. What comes after this winter storm is actually more concerning than the storm itself, because of the bone-chilling Arctic air that's moving in. As we go into tonight and tomorrow, an extremely intense Arctic blast is going to make its way all the way down to the Gulf Coast states and the Southeast. We're talking about temperatures as low as 0 degrees or even sub-zero in areas like Dallas-Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, and Little Rock. The Ohio Valley is going to experience very intense cold as well, with wind chills potentially dropping to 20 degrees below zero in some location. Now, let me give you city-by-city specifics so you know exactly what to expect for your particular area over the next several days. For Dallas-Fort Worth, you're looking at temperatures dropping to 0 or below tonight, and you might not get above freezing until Tuesday afternoon. Any remaining liquid on roadways is going to freeze into a thin layer of ice tonight, creating slick spots even if it doesn't cause additional power outages. Oklahoma City faces similar conditions with extremely cold air settling in, and temperatures could remain around or below freezing through Wednesday. Little Rock, you guys should get above freezing by Tuesday, which will at least help melt some of that snow and ice away. For Nashville, you're looking at a prolonged period of below freezing temperatures that's going to keep snow and ice around through at least Thursday or Friday. With 90% of the city without power and temperatures staying this cold, this is a genuinely dangerous situation for anyone without heat. Memphis is facing similar conditions with very cold air lingering, and recovery efforts are going to be slowed significantly by the sustained freeze. For areas in Tennessee and Kentucky, most locations are going to remain around or just below freezing through Tuesday and Wednesday. Atlanta and Huntsville could see temperatures drop back below freezing tonight, which means any remaining liquid on roadways will freeze over. This creates the possibility of a really thin layer of ice forming overnight, which can cause slick spots and travel impacts tomorrow morning. The Midwest and Ohio Valley are looking at morning temperatures around 10 to 20 degrees below zero tomorrow, with wind chills even colder. Chicago, Indianapolis, and Cincinnati should all prepare for brutally cold conditions that'll stick around through the middle of the week. For Boston and much of New England, you're still dealing with ongoing snow today and tonight, with additional accumulation on top of what you already have. After the snow ends, extremely cold air moves in, with temperatures well below normal through at least Wednesday. New York City and Philadelphia are on the northern edge of the heaviest impacts, but you'll still see very cold temperatures settling in. Washington, D.C. and Baltimore are looking at well below normal temperatures through the week, though you should stay above zero for the most part. Now, here's what's particularly troubling about this Arctic blast. It's not just a 1 or 2 day event before warmer air returns. By Tuesday and Wednesday, you might think things are improving, but the remainder of that Arctic air is still going to be sitting over the southern plains. And once we start to see another round of Arctic air come from an upper-level low-pressure system in Canada, that's going to drop even more cold air southward. This could open the door for some low-end snow chances across parts of the central and eastern United States during the middle and end of this week. And then look at this, by Friday and Saturday, we're talking about a much more intense Arctic air mass moving down into the southern plains again. Bone-chilling cold is once again returning to the same exact areas that just got hit hard, with no real warm-up in sight. If we see moisture come out of the Pacific or the Gulf again, we might see some snow chances back in parts of the southern plains or southeast. But I don't think it's going to be anything like what we just saw over the last few days. This looks more like passing light to moderate snow showers. Around Thursday and Friday of this week, we could get a little bit of snow underneath another Arctic high-pressure system centered over Canada. This isn't expected to be as significant as what we just experienced, but Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and the Mid-Atlantic could see some passing snow. If we get some sort of merger where moisture from the Gulf meets cold air from the north, that could allow for maybe a little snow near the Gulf Coast. Right now, the GFS model is showing a very small sliver of snow in Louisiana, but trends could shift towards something more widespread over the next few days. As of right now, though, it's going to be nothing compared to what we just saw, so don't expect another major winter storm immediately. And then by next week and into early February, that's where things get a lot more uncertain in terms of the overall weather pattern. Now let me talk about the temperature outlook specifically, because this is critical for understanding when snow and ice will finally melt. Monday afternoon for most of you is not going to get above freezing, especially in Tennessee, Texas, and Oklahoma. Tuesday doesn't look great either, with most areas in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Oklahoma remaining around or just below freezing all day. Wednesday is going to be very cold across the southern plains and Ohio Valley, with temperatures well below zero in some spots during the morning. And then Wednesday afternoon and Thursday, that cold is just going to continue to linger in areas like Texas and Oklahoma. This means some of the snow and ice out there might not melt until at least Thursday, Friday, maybe even Saturday in some areas. We're just not really going to have any surge of warm air, and with another Arctic blast expected by Saturday, things are going to be really rough. We're not looking at anything nice in terms of weather, probably until at least sometime during the middle of next week at the earliest. So it's going to be cold out there for an extended period. Make sure you're staying bundled up with warm blankets ready to go. Check in on friends and family regularly, especially elderly neighbors or anyone who might be without power in these dangerous cold conditions. If you're without heat in temperatures of this cold, locate your nearest warming shelter and know how to get there if you need to. For those of you in areas with significant ice and snow still on the ground, avoid unnecessary travel if at all possible. Roadways are going to remain hazardous for several more days, and with temperatures staying below freezing, nothing is going to melt anytime soon. Now, once this current winter storm moves offshore, it's going to get a lot quieter for the United States in terms of widespread precipitation. The Pacific Northwest will see a little bit of rain during the early to middle portion of this week, which could cause some flooding in localized areas. But overall, we're not expecting any major systems to develop immediately, just that potential for light to moderate snow later this week. The pattern we're entering is one of persistent cold rather than active storm systems, at least for the next several days. This prolonged cold is actually more dangerous in some ways than the storm itself, especially for areas dealing with power outages. When you combine below zero temperatures with no electricity for heating, that becomes a life-threatening situation very quickly. Again, drop your specific city or region in the comments, and I'll try to give you more detailed information as this situation continues to develop. I'll be monitoring the models closely and providing updates as we get better clarity on that potential snow chance later this week. If you found this forecast helpful, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss continued updates on this developing situation. We'll likely have another video tomorrow morning breaking down the latest model runs and any changes to the forecast. The bottom line is this: the winter storm is winding down, but the dangerous cold is just beginning, so prepare accordingly. Stay safe, stay warm, check on your neighbors, and make sure you're ready for this extended period of below normal temperatures. We'll see you in the next forecast with all the latest updates on this dangerous Arctic blast.